I'm in lesbians with this game. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World really has been a favorite game of mine for quite some time. I have played this game on Xbox 360 for hours and hours, trying to level every character up and constantly replaying all the game had to offer. I absolutely adored this title back in the day, and when I found out it was delisted, I honestly wasn't quite upset over it at the time. I mean, I had the game still, so what gives? But as time passed, the realization of how not a whole lot of people would ever get to experience this game sunk in. I really started to want a re-release. And right around the time the Nintendo Switch was out, a dream game of mine to play on that system was in fact Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. I remember seeing the movie, oddly enough, shortly after this game released, and from that point forward, fell in love with the world Scott and his friends all resided in. The magical world of Toronto, Canada. The movie pushed me into adoring the game that much more, and these unfamiliar characters became instantly memorable. I had this sort of movie tie-in game-like experience after, and it made me have days where I would just rewatch the movie over and over and play the game right after. Though I may look at these memories fondly, I really wish younger me read the comics because, well, I was so hooked on both the movie and game I kind of forgot about everything else for a while. It was a fun time for me, even before this re-release. I have been wanting to replay the game, but then fast forward to the present day where if you browse either the eShop, PlayStation Store, or Epic Games Store, the game is now on digital shelves all over again. Even on limited run, there is a physical release that likely by the time this video goes live will be long gone, but the fact that even exists is fantastic, and I am glad to see this game get the love and care that it deserves. So with that out the way, let's go ahead and take down Ramona's 7 evil exes. So the story to Scott Pilgrim loosely follows that of the comics. Scott is interested in Ramona Flowers, but 7 of her evil exes stand in the way of them being together. This, of course, is a problem for Scott, so to get the girl, he must defeat all 7 of these exes. In the game, you get to play several different characters, those being Scott Pilgrim, Ramona Flowers, Stephen Stills, Kim Pines, Wallace Wells, Knives Chows, and the story doesn't really matter in this game other than the basic premise. Though as someone who enjoyed the banter in both the movie and comics, seeing more of that would really give this game some extra brownie points in my book. Though honestly, the way this game handles its story and how the sole selling point is the gameplay like most retro games in the time, I am quite happy with how it turned out. I never felt as if this game had to have more story to be good. If I wanted that banter, I could just watch the movie or read the comics and appreciate the game for what it is. A really good beat 'em up. Now I honestly could think of only 2 genres that would best capture the world of Scott Pilgrim best: an RPG or a beat 'em up. Funnily enough, this game is a mix of both in a lot of ways. At its core, the game is a beat 'em up, where you get to fight enemies in different stages, being able to pick up items like trash bags, swords, and my personal favorite, snowballs. Each character gets different combos as they level up, which makes progressing really fun. Going through each stage felt great, because the levels never felt like they were too long, and the game was never too difficult for me except in a few select sections, when it was either I was a low level, and didn't have better moves to use, not enough lives or health, or a myriad of other reasons that likely were my own fault. On top of the levels, each character has a stat for skills like speed, defense, strength, willpower, you name it. This goes a long way and helps make some enemies feel easier than they otherwise would have without those stats being boosted. By the way, willpower is how you can revive and use a special move. Each shop you go to has various items you can get to help make these stats go up. Plus, once you paid the huge price of over $500 for Scott's late fees at a video store, you can get a lot of great stat boosts for cheap in this very first level. So if you're new to the game, make sure to save some money or use the Konami code so you can not only pay off that huge debt, but get rewarded nicely after. Each boss was also super fun to go through, and each one had personality. Sure, they were just someone that wanted Scott to not date Ramona, but with how over the top this game was and each fight was, it had some really funny moments just within the fights themselves. It felt so unique, and I really looked forward to seeing each boss again and again. just for the intro scenes and even the fights themselves because they were really fun. The gameplay found in here is super arcade-like and fun to play a few levels alone or with friends. I never got the chance to play this game co-op back then, but it always looked like a really good time, honestly. However, I did get the chance to try the game with friends recently, and I enjoyed my time with it oh so much. As far as I'm concerned, this is a great game to play both alone or with a few friends. And even if the online from what I have tried was a little off as of now, I still think that the game is very top-notch even 10 years later. Scott Pilgrim is of course filled with tons of video game Easter eggs due to the creator of the comics, Brian Lee O'Malley, throwing references to the games left, right, and center. From the way this game feels like a classic beat-em-up like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, to the world map being a direct reference to the Mario World overworld screen, to just more subtle signs and images in certain levels. For instance, the blue shell in Wallace's secret shop, and the secret subspace areas that feel similar to that of Mario 2, and even seeing little references to games like Final Fantasy, Sonic the Hedgehog, Crash and the Boys, and much more, made this a joy to see. A lot of the joy I had in this game was paying attention to these subtle, or even not so subtle Easter eggs hidden in all these stages. I almost can't fully wrap my head around how many are found in this game, and it honestly feels so nice to see this game not only deeply respect the source material, but to have so many neat little Easter eggs scattered to and fro. Now, onto what captured my heart the most. The music. The music in this game is composed by a group known as Anamanaguchi, and I swear, I have never heard a more perfect fit for the game's soundtrack than this. I swear, the moment I heard the opening song on the first level, I was sitting there getting all hyped up to finally be back after so long. And not only that, but this led me into loving the band's music beyond this title even back then. The music is at the forefront of this game and really helped solidify my love for not only the game, but the soundtrack as a whole. There have been moments prior to the re-release where I would just put on the soundtrack while playing other games and smile like an absolute dork. So yeah, it goes without saying that I love the music in this game. I love side modes in games, and in this game, it is no different. In the base game, there were 2 side modes to unlock via cheat codes. There is a boss rush code that allows you to take on every single boss the game throws at you in the main story, one after the other. This mode was super challenging to me, and even now, it still can be. I enjoy the thrill of it all, and it is a very fun mode to play from time to time. The next one is survival horror. Now, I'm not talking about the actual game genre, but the mode in this game. This is a simple concept where you fight zombies until you eventually run out of health and KO. This mode was always a blast, and I honestly would be lying saying I didn't try to look up the code for this again just to play it right after I beat the game. There were a few other cheat codes, but these 2 specifically added full-on new modes into the base game, and to me, are the most significant. If you have an interest in the other cheat codes, a quick Google search will lead you into a whole plethora of codes that alter the game in really fun ways. This re-release of the game is called the Complete Edition for a reason. When Scott Pilgrim came out for the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 at the time, it had DLC that dropped with it, which was fairly cheap. I, for one, never got the chance to play any of these because I never noticed them as something I can buy, despite how actively I played this game at the time. But the DLC added 2 brand new modes that helped flesh out the game in small fun ways. Not only did the DLC add online multiplayer with the Wallace pack, but it added a battle royale. This mode is where 4 players duked it out, almost similar to the end of a Castle Crashers level, to see who wins. This one is a mode I never played too much, but it is still a fun time. The other mode that was added was with the Knives Chow DLC, and with it came a dodgeball mode. When playing dodgeball, a random ball object is placed in the center of the map. Each player must then attempt to kick the ball and throw it at each other and attempt to damage them. Honestly, this mode was really a nice change of pace, and I found myself playing it a lot more than I was expecting, even more recently. Still, with all the love poured into Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, these cheat codes really help increase the charm of this game tenfold, as well as the DLC. I love when games have old school cheat codes, and it brings me back to days where I would actively look for codes on games in my PS2 library. The fact this game has a plethora of them ready to alter and make this game even more fun and tailor-made for new experiences really is amazing. On top of that, the DLC added a lot of new content that I honestly really appreciate. It's been so long since I last was able to play this game, and in all honesty, from seeing the reveal back in September to now, the hype has been so unreal. I have been dying to replay the game and put it back into my rotations of games, but to have it on my Switch and even other modern consoles now is quite amazing. I have rewatched the movie recently in celebration of this game coming out again, and have been listening to the soundtrack so often, it's not even funny. I'm glad this game got pushed to January because in my opinion, this is one heck of a way to start the year off. From the gameplay, to the characters, to all the fun references to other media, I think Scott Pilgrim is in fact a timeless classic to me. It is easily my favorite beat 'em up, and I'm so glad lots of people finally have the chance to play this title again. With all that said, thanks for watching, stay safe, and most importantly, stay hydrated.